Okay, so get this. 3 American military aircraft have just landed in Islamabad. And no, this is not just some routine diplomatic visit. This is it. This is the beginning of a negotiation so intense it could literally shake up the entire global economy. Everything, and I mean everything, hangs on what happens in the next 48 hours.
So to really understand what's on the line here, we've got to look at the situation on the ground right now as this absolutely critical second round of talks kicks off.
For the second time in just over a week, security across Pakistan's capital has been cranked up to the max. We're talking a total lockdown. This is the backdrop for what might just be the most important peace talks we've seen in decades.
And it's not just the city, you know? The entire world is watching this unfold because the outcome here is going to have ripple effects that touch every single one of us, from the price you pay for gas to the stability of the whole global economy.
So why all the tension? Well, it all comes down to the clock. There are just 48 hours left on the board. That temporary ceasefire between the US and Iran, it expires on April 21st. If these talks fail, the 7-week war starts right back up. But if they succeed, this nightmare could finally be over.
So how on earth did we get to this cliffhanger moment? I mean, really. To get the hope and the insane pressure of round 2, you have to look at the frantic behind-the-scenes diplomacy that happened after round 1 completely fell apart.
Think about it. Just 8 days ago, the first round of talks cratered without a deal, and honestly, the world was bracing for the worst. But the second they failed, this incredible diplomatic push began, spearheaded by Pakistan, that somehow managed to drag everyone right back to the negotiation table today.
And the effort was just immense. You had Pakistan's army chief flying straight to Tehran, carrying a brand new message from Washington. At the same time, the prime minister was touring the Gulf, trying to get everyone on board. They simply refused to let peace fail. It's pretty amazing, really.
So those 3 American planes landing in Islamabad, that confirms it. Round 2 is officially a go. But the real question is, what's actually different this time? And what specifically are they even talking about? Well, the first round basically hit a brick wall. It all got stuck on Iran's nuclear program. Iran just wouldn't commit, and the US wouldn't budge without that commitment. Deadlock. But something has clearly changed since then. Pakistani mediators are now saying they're hopeful for a breakthrough, which tells you all that intense back-channel diplomacy seems to have worked where the formal talks couldn't. And if you listen to Iran's foreign minister, he says they were inches away from a deal last time. He put the blame on what he called US maximalism. That's basically negotiation speak for an all-or-nothing approach that doesn't leave any room to compromise. So his comments suggest that maybe these last 8 days were just enough to finally bridge that tiny but critical gap.
And what's on the table is this big, comprehensive package that Pakistani officials are now calling the Islamabad process. And it's comprehensive for a very smart reason. By bundling everything together, the nuclear stuff, the sanctions, the frozen money, the Strait of Hormuz, it creates some powerful leverage. For Iran, getting that economic relief is a huge carrot. For the US, reopening the strait is a massive economic win. It's basically an all-or-nothing deal designed so that both sides have way too much to lose if they decide to walk away.
Okay, I know this can all feel like some distant, high-level political drama. But trust me, the outcome of the Islamabad process is going to directly affect your wallet and your country's economy. So let's break down exactly what's at stake. For you.
For anyone in the United States, a deal here means relief at the pump and a cool-down on inflation. It's also, let's be honest, a badly needed political win for the administration, especially with midterm elections on the horizon.
And over in the UK, a deal would finally bring down those energy prices that have been painfully high for 7 weeks now. That's real relief for millions of households. For Canada, the stakes are seriously high. According to Goldman Sachs, the economy is staring down a 25% risk of recession. A peace deal is pretty much seen as the country's best shot at finding some stability this year.
And in Australia, which imports most of its fuel, well, reopening the Strait of Hormuz is the only thing that's going to bring those near-record petrol prices back down to earth.
And then there's Germany. Its economy is already fragile, and with the IMF recently cutting its global growth forecast, Germany is especially vulnerable. A successful deal here is absolutely crucial for its recovery.
So with the global stakes being so incredibly high, the negotiators are really looking at 3 different ways this could all go down. Let's walk through the possible outcomes we could see in the next 48 hours. Okay, let's break it down. Best case scenario?
A full deal. The war ends, the ceasefire is made permanent, and oil prices take a nosedive. The most likely case, at least according to the analysts, is an extension. So no final deal just yet, but they agree to keep the ceasefire going and continue with the Islamabad process. And then there's the worst case. The talks completely collapse, and the war starts again.
And we need to be crystal clear about what worst case actually means. Oxford Economics has warned that if the war resumes and Iran shuts down the strait, oil could rocket to $140 a barrel. A move like that would push the UK, Europe, and Japan into recession, and it would bring the US economy to a grinding, screeching halt. That is the price of failure.
So that's where we are. The door to peace is still open, but it's not going to stay open forever. The next 48 hours will decide the fate of this war, and with it, the fate of the global economy. It all boils down to this one simple, massive question. Is it going to be a deal or no deal?